Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us today. My name is Brenda Moynihan, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Outreach at the Kensington Assisted Living located in White Plains, New York. Tonight's presentation is called A Caregiver's Guide to Cultivating SoulFULLness, featuring Dr. James Rouse. Tonight is part 2 of the series, Food for Thought, 5 Empowering Practices for a Healthy Brain and Body. Please remember to mark your calendar every Wednesday for the next 4 weeks, since this is a 6-part series, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the series. Before I introduce our speaker, I'd like to briefly give you some information about Kensington Senior Living, or KSL for short. KSL was founded in 2010 by a leadership team with over 30 years experience in developing and operating premier senior living residences in the U.S. and abroad. Kensington Senior Living has 7 communities operating throughout the country, and we're proud to offer care beyond what most other traditional assisted living communities can deliver. For example, high staff to resident ratios that exceed industry standards help deepen connections between caregivers and residents. Pocket programs, which are small group activities tailored to different interests and abilities, provide opportunities for friendship and boost a sense of mastery for the residents. This 6-part series is brought to you through the collaboration of several of the Kensington Senior Living communities, including locations in White Plains, New York, Redwood City, Redondo Beach, and Sierra Madre in California, and Reston, Virginia. In all of our communities, we are committed to providing outstanding care every day with a full spectrum of clinical support, including caring for those with Alzheimer's and additional dementias. And just a reminder, at the end of the presentation today, we'll put up a slide with contact information on how to contact Dr. Rouse. Go to his Facebook page, the group page called SoulFULLU, or if you'd like to contact any of the Kensington Senior Living communities. Right now, I am honored to welcome our speaker for this evening, Dr. James Rouse, and give you some information about him. From private practice to building a multimedia company, Dr. James, as he likes to be called, is a nationally renowned naturopathic physician and expert in functional, regenerative, and lifestyle medicine. Dr. James is also an award-winning author of over a dozen books and international motivational speaker. His mission is to help others create a meaningful life that they love. His mantra is, disrupt mediocrity and change your life. Welcome. Welcome.
Hi, Brenda. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am terrific. It's such a blessing to see you tonight. Thank you.
I'm turning it over to you.
I'm so grateful. And everybody, thanks for joining tonight. I got to tell you, after last Wednesday, I said to my wife, I said, oh my gosh, I want to do this again tomorrow night. I felt so excited. I felt like, you know what? This community is divinely orchestrated. So I really want to encourage all of you tonight to allow me to serve you and allow me to give you the opportunity to just kind of exhale and give yourself the experience of going, okay, these next few minutes, I'm just going to put my guard down. I'm going to allow myself to just feel loved, because that's what this is all about. And hopefully, when we're wrapped up tonight, you walk away and you go, I've got some very empowering tools that I can put to work on myself in the name of love. And remember this, because you know, this whole idea of disrupting mediocrity, I'm so glad Brenda shared that. Think about this as an idea. Your self-love and your self-care is powerful social activism. Remember last week, we talked about the idea that when you begin your day with self-love, when you integrate practices throughout the day that are about honoring yourself and taking and nourishing your body and your mind and your spirit, this becomes a contagion. Everyone who lays eyes on you is going to go, you know what? I want what she's having. I want what she's all about. So tonight, this is all about mindfulness, but what's really fun tonight, last week we told some fun stories. Tonight, I'm going to share some very, very powerful research, but hopefully it's in a way that you go, oh my gosh, James, I can totally do this. And what I want to do tonight was give you 5 things that you could walk away with tonight. And then tomorrow you could say, all right, I know exactly how I want to integrate some of these practices to help protect my brain, to support my mind, to help me to go out in the world and broadcast the level of love and light that I know is inside of me. So I just want everyone right now, let's just take one moment and kind of just say, I'm letting go of the human doing. I'm embracing my human being. Everybody. I'm letting go of my human doing, and I'm embracing my human being. Beautiful. We're together now. So tonight is based on some very, very powerful research, but more importantly, this is integrated medicine. So no matter what your life is all about, no matter what your story is all about, I hope you'll say, you know what? I'm the author. I get a chance to write from this point forward how I want to lead this self-care revolution within myself. And these 5 practices, they're based on deep science, but they're also based on the idea that if we integrate these, we will know that with the faith of our brain, we'll go, okay, I've got this. These are things that I can be doing each and every day. It's about food. It's about mindfulness. It's about the power of spirituality and purpose. And interesting enough, I love to say, we don't want to mention exercise. I love to say mindful movement. And in my practice in the waiting room, I used to have a sign that said, exercise only on the days that you plan on eating. So that's kind of a zealot when it comes to exercise. But these 5 things are what we're going to talk about tonight, and some really, really powerful science to say, oh my gosh, I am ready to bring a level of transformation. I am ready for a brand new integration. So everyone, let's just kind of lean into tonight and say, I'm going to let go of doubt. I'm going to release any small thinking. I'm going to take a look at my history and say, you know what? I'm going to dismiss you for the next 30 minutes. And I'm really going to embrace a level of new possibility. And beginning with, so I think I told you guys last week, so I have a pretty deep background in food. In fact, I put myself through medical school with my wife and I. We had something called the Common Sense Cafe. And this was back in Oregon, the late 80s and early 90s. This is a long time ago. And what we did is we actually sourced all of our ingredients within 15 miles of a restaurant. And the Common Sense Cafe became sort of a place where all kinds of different walks and different types of people would come in and say, I understand you guys just serve plants here. What's up with that? We'd sit them down and we'd make a nice vegan sweet potato shepherd's pie, and people would go, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. This is plant-based? So to begin with tonight, I want to share with you some of the most powerful research on what are people eating, whose mind is strong, whose brain is sharp, whose memory continues to flourish well into their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and their 80s. And what's beautiful about this is that it's a combination of the Mediterranean diet, which I'm sure all of you have heard of. It's very plant-based, lean proteins, lots of healthy fats, a lot of olive oil. And you're going to find that this diet is integrated with something called the MIND diet, which this is an acronym. And I love this acronym. It's actually Mediterranean Intervention for Neurodegenerative Diseases, MIND. And what they basically have found is a combination of the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet. And the DASH diet has been used for decades to help people with supporting cardiovascular health. But this is just upping it just a little bit. So it's very focused on your brain. It's very focused on our mind. And what's so beautiful about this, it's not really giving up necessarily anything. It's adding things. And I love to say that you never, ever eat alone. Because when you actually put good food in your body and this type of an eating plan, it actually augments certainly neurochemicals, things like serotonin, which is for contentment and calm and happiness. You're going to find dopamine levels will increase, which is motivation and confidence. And a day in the life of this is simply just adding more plants, utilizing olive oil. And many of you are saying, well, okay, so what are the things I can't do? Well, I knew I was thinking about like one of the things that we do know that this diet is really, really stingy on, refined carbohydrates. So if you can do what you can to kind of look in your pantry, look in your refrigerator and say, okay, I'm going to take this sugar, I'm going to put it away for some time. You may even forget about it. But if you say to yourself, okay, but I want to have something at night and maybe a little bit of alcohol. Well, what's really interesting, the Mind diet said that we are okay with having a glass of wine. And if we're going to choose a glass of red wine, the best bet, Oregon Pinot Noir. So I'm sure you didn't expect to hear that tonight, but the combination of the Mediterranean diet with that Mind influence, dropping the sugar and adding in a little Pinot Noir, just one glass. And if I can make a little recommendation, I've done a little research here. Interesting enough, the resveratrol content, you've probably heard of it. It's a great Scrabble word. So if you lay down resveratrol on your Scrabble board, people are going to go, oh my goodness, that's not a real word. And you go, powerful antioxidant, protects the heart and protects the brain. And resveratrol is extra rich in Oregon Pinot Noirs, particularly from the Willamette Valley. So if you are a wine drinker, and I'm not suggesting you begin if you're not, but if you are, and you say, you know what, if I was going to choose more mindfully, we'd want to go with Pinot Noir coming from Oregon. So think about the Mediterranean diet as a place to begin and that Mind influence. And I really want to encourage one other piece to this. This is very interesting. Avocados are a giant part of this program. And when you pair avocados, so guacamole, whole avocado, whatever the case may be, you can add it to other foods, particularly other antioxidant-rich foods. So broccoli, kale, cauliflower, any of those vegetables, when you put an avocado next to it and you eat them together, you will increase the way that you will absorb those antioxidants between 2 and 10 times greater, and your body's ability to metabolize those fats, to increase your metabolism, to help you burn fat, is also increased upwards of 35%. So if you're going to take any notes, you go, oh my gosh. So next time I have a salad, next time I'm doing a stir fry with vegetables, I'm always going to have an avocado with that. And if you do your Pinot Noir, that'll actually help your body to metabolize and absorb those great antioxidants of resveratrol. So number one, we've got the Mediterranean diet. Now, number two, this is awesome. And if you're this person who goes, gosh, when I hear the E word, the first thing I think is, oh, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I have history with exercise. I don't like it. Let us kind of shift away from exercise and let's call it mindful movement. Mindful movement. Because what the research is telling us about protecting our brain, helping to augment our mindfulness, and really influencing a very powerful positivity in our emotions and more resilience in our emotions, we know that as little as, and this is the beautiful thing, some people go, gosh, am I looking at an hour a day? Am I looking at 90 minutes a day? Do I have to go out there and get on a Peloton bike? Is this going to be hard? Is it going to hurt? No. Here's what the research tells us. American College of Sports Medicine said exercise reduced the chance of contracting dementia by 30%, 30%, and Alzheimer's by 45% for two very important reasons. One is called BDNF, and that's an acronym, means brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And that is a protein that's literally released. You build it when you move your body. So just 18 to 20 minutes a day. So let's look at it this way. You're going to go for a walk for 10 minutes, but not just a normal 10 minutes. Every minute, you're going to walk as fast or faster than your normal pace, just for 1 minute. And then you're going to cut it back for 1 minute. And then you're going to, for the next minute, speed up. And you're going to go back and forth for 5 different intervals. That's your first 10 minutes. And on the way back home, so you see what I'm doing here? This is our way out, and this is our way home. The next 10 minutes, we do the exact same thing. So you move for 20 minutes, and according to the research, that in of itself can be one of the greatest things that you can do if you do nothing else. A 20-minute walk, simply changing speeds. And this is really interesting. They said that resistance training, so grabbing, it could be soup cans, it could be dumbbells, it could be bands, It could be even doing a plank pose if you love to do a plank. Here's what they said is that when we do any kind of resistance training for as little as 6 to 8 minutes a day, so we can do that, you guys. This is really cool. It says that it literally has a specific mechanism to go and protect the most vulnerable areas that are prone to Alzheimer's formation. So basically, where the plaque tends to formate initially with the beginning of decline in Alzheimer's, this is where resistance training goes to work initially, starting to help protect those areas within the brain. So if we can incorporate, let's say we're going to do 4 days a week of the 20-minute walk, and then the alternate days, we're going to do between 5 and 10 minutes of resistance training. And let's remember this, reducing our chances for risk for dementia by 30% and Alzheimer's by 45%. So we've got 2 things that we're looking at now. We're going to add more vegetables. We may be doing a Pinot Noir. We're definitely doing avocados. And then when you think about integrating that with a morning movement where you're going to take that 20-minute walk, simply change speeds. Now, some of you go, oh my gosh, what are the neighbors going to think if I'm changing speeds? Here's what the neighbors are going to think. Oh my gosh, look what she's doing. Look what he's up to. Wow, I want to know what they're doing. Here's what's really interesting. When people see other people with a smile on their face enjoying movement versus kind of grimacing, they absolutely feel something called emotional contagion. We talked about this last week, which is simply the ability as we're raising our emotional well-being and we're raising our joy, our gratitude, it becomes contagious to anyone who lays eyes on us. And I really want to kind of set an intention tonight. There's a lot of things that we're talking about over this next 6 weeks, last week, this week, and for another month. And I really don't have an intention that you go, oh my gosh, I got to do all of this. I would love for you to love yourself so well that you choose one thing and you do it with all the love that you can pour into it, just one thing. And when you're ready to add the second one, you add it. But if all you do is this one thing for the rest of your life, look at this research. It's telling us we already are moving the ball down the field and we can gain a sense of peace, a sense of purpose with that. Okay, the third thing, meditation or prayer. We got Mediterranean, we got movement, and now we have meditation and prayer. And I love this particular study I want to share with you. Number 1, how long do I have to meditate or pray? 6 minutes a day of mindfulness. That's it. And what UCLA found out, that when caregivers, this is why I want to pull this study forward for all of you, because UCLA studied caregivers of families who are experiencing a loved one who has Alzheimer's or cognitive decline that is advanced or advanced dementia. So when someone's in that caregiver role for someone who's experiencing that, here's what we know. UCLA said that UCLA studies showed that caregivers of family members with dementia or Alzheimer's saw a lowering in stress, improved memory, and listen to this, they actually saw inflammation decrease systemically. And in particular, the areas that affect our DNA. So think about this. So if we were to dedicate 4 to 6 minutes a day of meditation, that means we can lie down, we can stand up, we can go for a walk, we can meditate while we're walking in the previous experience. Anytime that we're just giving ourselves permission to breathe and be mindful and focused, that's meditation. And as little as 4 to 6 minutes a day, so you've already covered that if you're doing your walk, we see those inflammatory hormones go down and directly connected to our DNA in this wonderful little enzyme called telomerase. You may have heard of it. Telomeres are the little shock absorbers that protect your genes. And when those shock absorbers start to lose their elasticity, when they lose their buffer, that shortens our life. That increases our risk for Alzheimer's, dementia, heart disease, cancer. It shortens our life expectancy. But with meditation and prayer, you actually increase that enzyme, increase that protection of your DNA, and help protect you from all of those diseases. Now, when I read that study, I immediately thought of you. I thought of you as the caregivers. Whew. And I started to think about what it is that you do all day long and how many people you're shepherding and stewarding in your life. And I thought, oh my goodness, if there's one thing I can encourage you to do, is to take 4 to 6 minutes a day and just sit with yourself and love on yourself and breathe. Because that research tells me that this is one of the most important things we can do. It's a spiritual thing. It's a loving thing. It's an energetic thing. Changes our neurochemistry, changes our physiology, protects us deeply and lovingly. So there's our third piece. How are you feeling? Are you feeling like, okay, I've got at least one of these. I can do the avocados, or maybe I can do the Pinot Noir, but I think I can do that walk. I think I can do that walk at least every other day. And I think I can do it with a smile on my face so the neighbors are looking at me and they're saying, I want what she's having. I want what he's doing. And when I get back, I'm just going to sit out on my porch, or I'm going to go to a special place in my house. And I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm just going to hold my heart. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to say, telomerase, marinate on me. Just take care of my DNA, protect my DNA so I can go out there and love more and more and more. Okay, number 4, purpose. Harvard did a study on purpose. Of course they did. And what they found out is that people who live with purpose. So when I was reading this study, immediately I'm going, oh my gosh, is there anyone within this Kensington community, whether you're integrated into this Kensington community or you're a support person, a friend of Kensington, this is Kensington's world. It is purpose. It is to be fully alive is to be on fire with purpose. Purpose, I love the word ikigai. Last week, we talked about Kaizen. You may have heard of ikigai. Ikigai is an Okinawan word that simply means purpose. And you probably know that the Okinawans, they live longer than anyone else in the entire world. And what they found out is that ikigai is their reason for living long and strong. They also have some of the lowest incidence of heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's. And they directly connected it to purpose. What I love to say about purpose, when my patients ask me, when I'm talking to folks, I say, it's when your hunger meets the world's hunger. That's purpose. It's always something bigger than us. It's service unleashed into the world. It's your sacred sauce, the thing that you go, oh my goodness, when I'm doing this, time stands still. I just feel like I'm in the zone. I'm in the flow. When you give yourself the opportunity to identify what it is that you love to do, and then you give it to the world selflessly, it is purpose, and it connects with all the physiological processes that help keep us here living long and strong. The side effect of joy, the side effect of peace. Howard Thurman once said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. That's purpose. People who have come alive. The last piece, spirituality. So we've got food, Mediterranean. We've got movement, a combination of walking and resistance. Then we brought in meditation and prayer. Then we brought in purpose. Our fifth, call it the high five of Kensington. The Kensington high five, the last one is spirituality. Spirituality. What I love about this is that they talked about the expression of love, the expression of compassion, and the expression of vulnerability. I love to call that vitamin V. Our willingness not to be afraid to ask for help. Our willingness to be seen when things aren't going just perfectly. Rather than being good, we're being true. That's spirituality. They went on to say that the trifecta of spirituality means that cognitive health is successful aging and successful protecting of our brain and our mind. A recent study yet to be published at USC showed that spirituality was associated with lower atrophy rates in the brain regions associated with memory, places like the hippocampus. So a spiritual practice, and I love to say that any of these 4 practices could be your spiritual practice. If you treat it as something, you know what? This is about my self-love. This is about self-reflection. This is about my ability to give myself the opportunity to express what it means for me fully alive. When you are expressing what it means for you to be fully alive, with compassion, with openness, with vulnerability, it's medicine for your soul. And what I love about places like Harvard, UCLA, USC, and Hopkins, they have put together this beautiful documentary of lifestyle medicine. You get a chance every single day in your life to ask yourself, what makes you come alive? And then outlove your former self. Outgive to your former self. It seems to me that science is so critical in helping us to have faith in what we know can work from lifestyle integration and functional medicine. But I think science is finally catching up with spirituality. We all have been around human beings who are just light. You're around them, you lay eyes on them, you say, oh my goodness, I just love being in their presence. It's energy. It's a level of openness. It's vulnerability. They're just totally open about what it means to be in the world that they are occupying. And they just allow the world to see how much they care. I want to set an intention for all of us tonight. You can see, hopefully, that we are not afraid in this community to go deep. We're not afraid in this community to be absolutely dedicated to the next evolution, maybe even a transformation of how we look at our self-care. But I think all of these 5 pieces, our Kensington high 5, our ikigai, the Okinawan word for purpose, is simply suggesting one thing. Are you open to setting an intention before you go to bed tonight and saying, tomorrow morning, I'm going to push against my edges. I'm going to push against my history. I'm going to give myself an opportunity to step outside what I've ever known in my life, to experience a part of myself that I know is dying to come out. A part of me that wants to be awakened and loved on. I think if we collectively, we've got dozens and dozens of people here tonight, all over the country, who are asking ourselves, probably going, yeah, this speaks to me. I've got some work to do on how I feed my body. I've got some lovingness to do when it comes to moving my body. I know I can sit for 4 to 5 minutes a day, knowing I know what it's going to do to help protect me, build telomerase, protect my DNA. And I certainly know my purpose. All of it is spiritual. And I think today, maybe just maybe tonight, I heard what I needed to hear to wake me up for my slumber party. So tomorrow morning when I rise on fire with purpose and passion. And the evolution continues in you and as you. Brenda, my dear sister, my dear friend, back to you.
Wow. So I just want everybody to know, I will be taking my interval walk tomorrow to the store to get my avocados. And on the way back, the wine with the resveratrol.
Woo!
That's my ikigai for tomorrow. I want to thank you so much. And let's open it up to questions, folks. If you've got questions for Dr. James. I have a question here. It says, Dr. James, you were talking about sourcing all the ingredients within a certain mileage. I'd like to do that. How many miles would you recommend sourcing from your home?
You know what? Here's the beautiful thing. Find your local farmer's market or your local I like to say independent natural food store, because they typically are sourcing within 30 to 50 miles. And that's where you want to begin. But if you have a farmer's market within a half an hour, make that be a pilgrimage every Saturday morning and go there and have an opportunity to support someone who's doing something with love. If anyone's ever been to a farmer's market, all you know when you look across that table, that picnic table, that is a person who does it for love. They're not doing it for the money.
Absolutely. So I have a fellow wine drinker who's asking, can you tell us some good wineries in Oregon?
Yes, I will tell you that Cameron is a wonderful one. Cooper Mountain, there's a colleague of mine, a physician who practiced medicine for, gosh, almost 40 years. He left medicine in his late 60s to start making wine. And he particularly specializes in Pinot Noir, that's organic, that's biodynamic, and it's Cooper Mountain. And what I'll do, Brenda, I will send you an email with a list of my favorite wines, and we can send out to the community, because I think everyone's going, oh my gosh, he's going to talk about broccoli and kale. He talked about wine tonight. I love that guy.
Great. Dr. James, can you recommend any online meditation sites?
Yes, Stanford has an amazing mindfulness. It's by, gosh, I think her last name, it's a great Scrabble word. I'll send you the link, but it is, all you have to do is Google Stanford Loving Kindness Meditation. It's 12 minutes, and it is something before bedtime that will put you to sleep so wonderfully. And the loving kindness meditation has been studied for cognitive decline, immune support, and interesting enough, compassion and vulnerability centers in our brain, Brenda. How cool is that?
Very cool. Very cool. We have another question. If you eat fruits, vegetables, and other healthy natural foods, do you feel people need to supplement with protein powder?
Oh, great question. Not necessarily. Broccoli, gram per gram, is more protein dense than steak. Everybody. I mean, who would have thought that? Broccoli, gram per gram, is more protein dense than steak, gram per gram. So if you do a lot of crucifers, you're going to get plenty of protein. But if you're still thinking, oh, hey, I want to get an extra 15 to 20 grams of protein, I recommend more plant-based proteins. I love pea, I love hemp, I love brown rice, and I even love pumpkin protein. Those are all wonderful powders. And what I can do, Brenda, I'll put a resource together in an email for you with my different recommendations for proteins. But please, people, don't go on this giant protein thing where you think protein is the be-all, end-all. Supplement mindfully, but really build your campaign around real food.
Okay. We have a comment, and she says, I wanted to say thank you for revealing your emotions, which allow us to tap into our vulnerabilities. Very well said.
You know what? Thank you. I don't know who you are,
yes,
but I love you for saying that. Thank you. We all need to allow ourselves to be seen these days. I think the protection and the armor is overrated. And the more that we will allow ourselves to be seen, the more that we can feel the love that everyone is searching for.
We have time for one more question. And let's see. In reference to the Mediterranean diet, what is the appropriate portion of nuts?
Great question. 2 servings is kind of the window that people recommend. And I love to say a handful of macadamia or almond or even pumpkin seeds. 1 handful, like the size of a palm, is traditionally a good serving size. 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, this big, Brenda, and you have got yourself, I guess you should go up here, this big, and you have got yourself a serving. Or 1 full heaping tablespoon of almond butter is also a great way to go. But I like to say 2 servings minimum. For me, it's 4 servings a day. I am an almond, oh my gosh, I'm out of control when it comes to almonds, second only to macadamia nuts. And guys, if anyone here is going, I could use a little more metabolic support, studies show that 2 servings of almonds a day has a direct impact on our waistline in terms of metabolism. Nice little side effect.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today, especially Dr. James. And I'm going to ask you all to send good energy his way, especially today. We all need it, but let's send it to Dr. James for tonight. I also want to thank all of my Kensington colleagues for bringing this wonderful presentation to you, especially Susan Evans for her wonderful help. Please stay until the end, folks. Again, we'll put up a slide with information on how you can contact Dr. James and his Facebook group, and also if you'd like to contact any of the Kensington Senior Living communities. Please remember, part 3 of the series is next week, Wednesday, March 10th at 6:30 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Please send good energy Dr. James's way, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Much love and all blessings. Bye.